Welcome to this explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled to have you here today. We're going to take you on a highly structured visual masterclass journey. If you've been looking for the ultimate guide to C# programming for beginners, you are in the exact right place. We'll be moving from absolute zero to thoroughly understanding the powerful foundations of this language. So, whether you have literally never written a line of code in your life, or you're coming from another language and just looking to expand your toolkit, let's dive right in.
To keep things super focused and prevent any cognitive overload, here's our step-by-step agenda. First, we'll look at the C# and .NET ecosystem. Second, setting up Visual Studio. Third, core object-oriented concepts. Fourth, common beginner mistakes. And finally, some awesome projects you can build next.
Okay, let's kick things off with Section 1, the C# and .NET duo.
You know, when you first start out, you'll probably hear C# and .NET tossed around almost interchangeably, but they're actually very different. Think of it like this. C# is the literal car you drive. It's the programming language, the syntax, the steering wheel, basically the tool you use to actually accomplish your goals. But, as we all know, a car isn't much good without a road, right? That is exactly where .NET comes in. .NET is the road and the surrounding infrastructure. It's the framework providing the rules, the support, and the environment that lets your C# vehicle operate smoothly and safely.
So looking under the hood, this .NET Road gives you two massive benefits as a developer. First up is the Common Language Runtime, or CLR. You can think of the CLR as this powerful engine that takes your C# code and translates it into instructions your computer actually understands. It also handles all those messy background tasks like memory management and catching errors so you don't have to. Second, .NET gives you standard libraries. Think of these as a massive pre-built toolbox. Instead of writing code totally from scratch just to read a file or connect to the internet, you simply plug in pre-written building blocks like system.io or system.net. It literally saves you an incredible amount of time.
Moving right along, let's hit Section 2, setting up Visual Studio.
To actually write C#, we use what's called an Integrated Development Environment, or an IDE. Now, sure, there are other options out there like Visual Studio Code, but we're going to focus on Visual Studio, the absolute powerhouse maintained by Microsoft. It's perfectly designed to transform your standard computer screen into a full-fledged professional developer station, complete with all the debugging tools and compilers you're going to need built right in.
According to the setup guide from Geeks for Geeks, getting started is a super simple 3-step workflow. First, just head over to the official website and download the free community version. Second, when the installer pops up, it'll ask you to choose your workloads. Since we're just starting out, simply check the box for .NET Desktop Development. Once that's all installed, step 3 is just opening the app, clicking Create a New Project, and selecting a basic console application. And boom, you've got a clean slate to start coding.
Once you're actually inside Visual Studio, you'll see the interface is designed to keep you highly organized. You've got your project templates on one side to pick exactly what type of app you want to build, whether that's a simple text-based console window or a full graphic desktop app. On the other side, you'll spot the Solution Explorer. Think of this as your command center. In Visual Studio, your projects are grouped into solutions, and this Solution Explorer securely manages all your project files, settings, and references in one easy-to-navigate tree.
All right, tools are ready. Let's jump into Section 3, Core Object-Oriented Concepts.
So, C# is an object-oriented language. That basically means we build programs by creating digital objects that interact with one another. First up in our core concepts is abstraction. This allows us to model the relevant attributes of real-world things into a streamlined, manageable representation in our code. For example, if you're building a banking app, you don't need code describing the physical color of the bank's front door, right? You just need to abstract the relevant data, creating a bank account class that holds a balance and an account number. It simplifies a complex reality down to exactly what your system actually needs.
Next up is encapsulation. Think of this like a digital vault. Encapsulation is the practice of hiding an object's internal state to protect it from being accidentally messed with by other parts of your program. If you've got that bank account object, you definitely don't want just any random piece of code to be able to subtract money from the balance directly. Instead, you lock that balance away and only allow access through a strict, public set of approved functions, like a specific withdraw method that actually checks if you have sufficient funds first.
Then we have inheritance, which is really all about efficiency. Inheritance gives you this brilliant ability to create new abstractions based on existing ones, meaning you basically never have to rewrite the same code twice. Say you have that general bank account class, and suddenly you need a savings account class and a checking account class. You don't start from scratch. They can simply inherit the basic properties of the standard account,
like having an owner and a balance, and from there, you just bolt on the specific features that make them unique. Finally, we have polymorphism. Now, that is a big, intimidating word, but it has a highly practical meaning. It lets you implement those inherited properties in uniquely different ways across different objects. For instance, a standard checking account and a prepaid gift card might both inherit that withdraw method we talked about, but they handle the actual transaction totally differently behind the scenes. Polymorphism allows your program to just say withdraw funds to either account type, and the object itself knows exactly how to execute its own unique version of that command. Pretty smart, right?
Okay, you're almost ready to code. But first, Section 4, Avoiding Common Beginner Mistakes.
Listen, it is a total rite of passage. You will inevitably hit a wall where your program absolutely refuses to compile, and you get hit with a terrifying wall of red error text. But before you panic, throw your keyboard out the window, or assume you've totally broken your computer, take a breath. Ask yourself, why is my code broken? And check for some very basic formatting errors.
According to insights from the SoftUni programming course, the absolute most common culprit is incredibly tiny. You simply forgot a single semicolon. In C#, a semicolon is literally like a period at the end of a sentence. It tells the compiler your thought is complete. If you leave it off, the compiler gets completely blinded, and it just runs lines of code together until the entire program crashes. So pro tip, always check your semicolons first.
You also want to keep an eye out for a few other classic traps. First, writing code outside the main method body. Your app's execution starts inside that main function, so if you have commands just floating around outside of it, the compiler has no idea when to run them. Second, messing up your capitalization. C# is case sensitive. That means writing right line with a lowercase l is entirely different to the compiler than right line with a capital L. And lastly, always make sure you close what you open. Missing quotation marks around your text or forgetting a closing parenthesis or curly brace is a guaranteed fast track to a compile time error.
And that brings us to the really fun part. Section 5, Projects to Build Next.
A fantastic first project, highly recommended by Geeks for Geeks, is building a to-do list manager. And hey, this isn't just busy work. It gives you essential hands-on experience with capturing user input and executing basic data operations, often called CRUD operations, which stands for creating, reading, updating, and deleting data. By challenging yourself to add tasks with checkboxes, delete things, view them in a list format, and pin them by priority, you're practically forcing yourself to use everything you've just learned about variables, object properties, and user interfaces.
Or if you really want to push your logic skills to the next level, tackle an expense tracker. This project is brilliant because it challenges you to handle numbers and dates mathematically. You'll need to build features to add expense amounts and descriptions, and even more importantly, it introduces you to storing financial data in a local database so your info actually sticks around after you close the app. You could even try generating visual monthly summaries of your spending habits, which is a fantastic introduction to integrating graphics into your code.
You know, what's truly incredible is the sheer, unadulterated scale of C#. By learning this one single language, you are not boxing yourself into a corner. You are gaining the ultimate, versatile toolkit. With C#, you can build back-end console apps, sleek desktop software for Windows, cross-platform mobile apps for iOS and Android using .NET MAUI, high-performance web microservices, and, get this, even massive, industry-leading 3D video games using the Unity engine. The skills you are learning right now literally translate across the entire tech landscape.
And that brings us to the end of our explainer. We've explored the engine of C#, the infrastructure of .NET, the foundational rules of object-oriented programming, and the classic beginner pitfalls to avoid. So, now that you officially have the keys to the C# car and the massive .NET road stretched out before you, what world-changing application are you going to drive into existence first? Thanks so much for joining us, and happy coding!